It struck me today at day 395 of the endless Mike Duffy trial that what is required to cover both politics and the criminal courts, or at least this particular criminal court, is the suspension of all rational thought and disbelief. We have now spent 3 days watching Don Bain, Mike Duffy's lawyer, in cross-examination of Nigel Wright, the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, all of it predicated on the notion that somehow it is with shock and horror and dismay that Mr. Bain and his client and everyone else have come to the realization that there is politics going on in the Prime Minister's office. Now, I'm not a Parliament Hill reporter. Perhaps this is a revelation, but it isn't to me. I sort of expect, indeed I'd be almost disappointed if people in the PMO and elsewhere on Parliament Hill didn't engage in the sometimes grimy business of hard political deal-making. And that, it seems to me, is what was at the core of all of this much ballyhooed cover-up. And you were keeping this quiet, weren't you? You were deceiving the Canadian people. I expect the Canadian people, like me, are deceived almost every day of our lives by government, by opposition leader, by aspiring politician, because they all want power. So we're playing this game in the courtroom as though we're shocked, I tell you, that the Prime Minister and his office were trying to get rid of the Mike Duffy scandal, make it go away. Of course they were. You had this pink, irritating man who simply would not shut up. He would not admit in a public way anything more than he may have made a mistake. His mistake was in saying that he lived full-time in Prince Edward Island, where they'd hardly seen him, really. And in fact, everyone knew, and had for 4 decades, that he lived in Canada, in an Ottawa suburb, in a nice house with his wife, and suddenly he was billing that living, that so-called travel to Ottawa, to the Canadian taxpayer. I think fundamentally that is what revolted Nigel Wright. It revolts me, and honestly, anything much more than that, I don't really care about.